Council to consider directing staff to prepare ordinance amending Title 5, Chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7 for Livingston Municipal Code, expanding opportunities regarding cannabis business. This item will be continued at a later date. We're not putting any date on there. So, but because it was listed and posted, we will have a public hearing. So, Mr. Hatch.
Thank you. Yeah, after we had advertised and mailed for the public hearing, the applicant had Mr. Dwight Larks had requested additional time to look at his proposal, maybe alter it somewhat, and come before the council with new information. And so we've already set up this as a public hearing item, so I would recommend that the council open the public hearing, take any comments that people are prepared or wish to give, and letting them know that we will have a full public comment period at the continued public hearing, and then can leave the public hearing open, but continue it to a date certain. And the suggested date by Mr. Larks is July. He needs at least until July 16th to be prepared. So that date or any council meeting shortly thereafter.
Okay.
That's
this
it.
Item is open to the public. Does anybody wish to comment? If not, then it is closed to the public. Council, any comments? To me, I just have a question for legal. This item was denied by the Planning Commission. Is that correct?
I think the recommendation was not to move forward with an amendment to our code.
So depending on which changes the applicant's requesting, it was at an appeal, correct?
No, this is not an appeal. It automatically, sorry.
Okay.
It's not an appeal. The ordinance automatically comes to you. The council is the recommending body, and then the deciding body is yourselves, the council.
Okay, if he's proposing changes to what the Planning Commission, I think it needs to go back to the Planning Commission.
It depends on the type of changes he's proposing.
Yes.
Since he has not brought that forward, I can't comment on whether it's significant change or just
to me,
a minor.
if it's significant change, or any changes, he needs to propose, in my view, changes to the staff. If it's significant changes, it needs to go back to the Planning Commission before it comes to the City Council. Because I don't believe that we should do an end around the Planning Commission. So that's my view, but it's up to the council.
I had the same concern. If it's going to be some changes, then it should the planning board should look at it once again and then make a recommendation based on those changes.
Yeah, without knowing what those changes are, I can't evaluate it at this time.
That's why I had said earlier that I'm not going to put a date on it, because I think it needs to be reviewed by staff and then make a determination to see if it needs to go back to Planning Commission.
We can, this is where legal can jump in, but the main reason to continue it to a date certain is because we have a mailed notice and a published notice out there for today. And so we need to continue it to a date certain to keep it alive. We can continue it again if they're not ready, if we're not ready. And but if we do have to...
Well, let me get the legal opinion.
Yeah.
So if they're proposing ordinance changes, then we can't really continue it until I think it needs to go back to the Planning Commission before it comes to us, because we can't continue on something we don't know what they're proposing.
So really what you're continuing, the item before you, or the item with W before you, is to direct staff to work on an ordinance amendment.
Right.
Correct, Randy?
Yes.
Your current municipal code requires, we can't just work on an amendment. It requires, if it's initiation of the amendment, to come before the city council, first going to the Planning Commission, then the city council, in order to get the authority for staff to work on the amendment. And I think that's the item that's coming before the council. The The reason for the continuance or for the request for continuance, I don't know the reason, other than the email that was supplied or that was provided that the applicant would like more time in order to prepare for the council meeting, so I don't really know what the reason was. Regarding what you mentioned, Mayor, of not putting a date, that is definitely the council's choice. The council could table the item. The only consequence would be that if the item did come back, let's say if nothing's really changing, the applicant just needed more time, it would just have to be renoticed. That's right. So the
Yeah,
staff would just
and
need to do that.
that's one of the reasons is I don't want to put a date on there. Because if you say July 17th or whatever date, and there's significant changes or it's not ready, then I don't want to put it on there and then go through this again and then continue it again. I'd rather just have it continued until everything is done. I don't want it to be continued again. And if it's significant changes, I know you can bring it to us, but my view, it needs to go back to the Planning Commission.
Well, you can certainly table it, and then when it's ready, we'll re-advertise.
Okay? All right. So, council, any comments? Yeah, so we will continue the item at no specified date.
Okay.
And if you guys work it out, then post it and do whatever you got to do. So,
At this point, staff was given direction, given the item was on
well,
there. It's getting.
it was my view,
Okay.
and I believe Mr. Aguilar's view, but you may need to pull the rest of the council.
And we could get a motion to just continue
Yeah.
to table the item. I think would be the
Okay.
proper motion.
All right, I'll make the motion to continue this item to table this item to a non-specified date.
I second it.
Okay, may I have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista?
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 5-0.
All right, thank you. And the other